Now let's use this plan. Let's use this plan and let's try to give some fake duration. Just let me give 22 days now. 22. I'm just giving a number because I want to show you how to create a link. We want to review it and have some examples. Okay. Here, let me change this one to T1 and T2, task 1, task 2. As I said, one approach is to create link is just select a task in the middle, not make sure not dragging right or left. Okay, drag up or down, then drop it on the successor task. Okay, so it means, and as I said, the default is finish to start, but if you want, you can double click on the Gantt chart, you can double click here, change to any other type and you want, and specify the lag. Okay, in project management concept, this is lag or lag and lead. If it's minus, it's lead. If it's positive, it's lag. Okay. This is one way, or you could do just by typing on the predecessors field. It's same can happen. For example, here I'm saying this task should be predecessors for this one, so the predecessors of this task is ID 5. See, automatically link. If I want, I can double click here, change to, for example, start to start, right? But let me give here a lag like -1. Okay, and here let me give +1. Let's discuss what exactly this logic means. Let's discuss what exactly this logic means here. It's very important for you to understand the logic that we define. It's a little bit more than just simple creating a link between tasks. You need to fully understand what does it mean. Okay. Task T1. Let's review this one. Task T1, the duration is 2 days. Okay. And the predecessors is 5, ID 5, start to start plus 1 day. What does it mean? This task T1 has a predecessors. Okay. Prerequisite. And that one is ID 5. ID 5 is this one, ID 5. Okay. And this one has duration 1 day, and this one, and the type of dependency is, the type of this link between these two tasks is a start to start. It means this task can start only if T2 already started. Okay, and plus 1 day. So it means this dependency here means task T1 can start only if task T2 started and 1 day passed. Okay, so if you drag this task to here, if you drag this task to here, the dependency is still valid, still is there. Okay, Forget how I dragged and dropped here. You should not do that. I will explain later with the constraint. But for now, just focus on the link. Link is still is valid. Link is saying this task T1 can start only if T2 starts and also 1 day passed. If I double click on this one, not on the link, exactly on the link, and type it 3, it will shift 3 working days. So T1 basically, if I want to explain this link is saying, this dependency is saying task T2 can start only if T2 starts and waiting for 3 days. The dependency between these two is not linked to the finish of the T2, task number 2. It is linked to a start of this task. It means, let's say if I increase the duration to 5 days, see, there is no impact on this one because this task, dependency of this task is linked to the start of T2. For task 1, it doesn't matter when the task 2 is planned to finish. There is no link between that one. The link between these two is on the start of the T2 because the link is, the dependency is start to start. Okay. 2, 1. Let me remove this as soon as possible. I gave it to this one, sorry. As soon as possible. Okay. Let me give a link here. Let me use split now for this one. Maybe define successors as T5. Press OK. Maybe use this one. Maybe use. I'm using different method to create link. Maybe you can link the task between different summary task. It's fine. You can also link the summary task also if you need, but my recommendation is to link the subtasks. Let me, maybe this one is prerequisite. What this one? Maybe this one is for this one for this. Maybe after this, and then this. Okay. So I created a link between tasks on this plan. It's mostly finished to start, but you get the idea how to create the link and also explain the meaning of this link here. Let me explain this one. I think I forgot to explain this one. This one, this is task T2, okay? T2. And the prerequisite for this T2, on the predecessors field, I can see it. Task 4, task ID 4, which is T1, finish to a start, -1 day. What does it mean? It means task T2 can only start working if it's 1 day to finish the T1. It doesn't matter if, for example, it's 5 days or 2 days or 4 days. T2 always can. I'm trying to mention it many times. Can can. T2, it's not a must. It's can. T2 can start working if 1 day remain to finish of task T1. That's the definition of this link. We are using this link, finish to start, start to start, start to finish to finish, to implement the logical dependency between tasks inside of the Microsoft project. For example, I have a task to, fill a section of the floor with cement. Task 1. And I have another task to build something on top of that cement, right? Task 1, let's say this one. This one is to fill the cement. Okay, and it's already completed. But when you're done by filling the floor with the cement, then you cannot start the next activity immediately, because you need to wait 1 or 2 days. So the cement should be ready. Otherwise, you are going to mess the floor. You are going to destroy and create problem. Then you have to fill the cement again. You have to wait. That's the nature of work. You fill the cement, wait for 1 or 2 days, then the cement getting hard and ready, then you move to the next step to build something on top of that cement. Okay, that's the nature of work in this case. So these are tools, these dependency are inside of the Microsoft project, are tools that you can use to implement the logical dependencies between tasks of your project inside of the Microsoft project. But it can logical dependencies between tasks, or it can be just a decision. Okay, you may say, based on my consultation with some experts, we decided to wait for 1 week. That's fine. You define it and you implement it inside of the Microsoft project. As long as it's clear, you can implement it inside of the Microsoft project. That's fine. You have enough tools here. I also explained to you, I also mentioned about the dependencies. Okay. And I said dependencies, not dependencies, constraints. Sorry, constraints. Constraints had strong force compared to task dependency. It has a strong force compared to task dependencies. Let me select this one. We have different type of constraint here. As late as possible, as soon as possible. All tasks inside of the Microsoft project basically use the as soon as possible. Then we have finish no later than, finish no earlier than, must finish on, must start on. Depends on different use cases. You may want to use them and apply it on each task. Each task can have only one constraint type. And honestly, based on my experience, you need to try to avoid these constraints as much as possible. Otherwise, during the when you want to update your plan, it will create a problem. It will make it harder for you to maintain your project plan. But if it's the nature, if it's the limitation, if it is a force inside of the project, you have to define it. But I'm telling you, try to avoid it as much as you can. But if you can't, then you need to define it. For example, management is saying this task T2, or let me give another one. Maybe this one. This one, T9. Okay. Management is saying T9 must completed maybe on 16. Okay. we define the link and the Microsoft project based on the CPM, critical path method. You can search on that one. It's a logic that Microsoft project and other scheduling tools is using, the CPM. Already the software based on that logic and the link and the duration that you define created this plan. This is this network and this plan. But now I'm telling the software that this task T9 must finish on 16. Okay, let's see what happened. Planning wizard is coming to warn you, but I know what I know that I need this constraint, and this constraint must set. Okay, so we have to ignore all the conflict that this constraint is going to create and press OK. And yes, ignore the link. Oh, I think I selected the wrong date. So here when you say must finish on, be careful you select the correct date. 16 March, okay? And I think sometimes it's a bug that you need to specify the year. Sometimes it's using previous year. Let's see if the case happened again. It happened again. Okay. No, it's I think 16th of April. Sorry, my bad. My bad. I had to tell this one 16 April, not March. Must finish on 16 April. Yes, avoid. Okay. See? Regardless this task, let's see what is the prerequisite for this task. The prerequisite for this task is it finished to a start 16 and 7. If I can go to this section, task 10 and task 3. Okay, so task 3 is here, and it has a conflict with this one. Task 10 is here, and it's already planned to happen to start 2 days after completing this one. So it's a conflict. Now, what you need to do is to negotiate with the management. Maybe you can convince them to remove this restriction, or you can convince them to give you more time. If it's not possible, then you need to replan your plan. You need to use different techniques to try to meet this requirement that this task T9 must complete on this date, and you need to perform your planning based on this constraint. You need to try to reduce the duration of the prerequisite other tasks and try to finish the prerequisite of this task before this date, so you can start this one on time and meet the target. Okay, but in general, you need to try to avoid these constraints as much as you can, because it's creating pain for the planning, for the project, and especially when you want to update your project. And it will reduce the flexibility of your planning. Okay, but sometimes you cannot. You try to avoid them, but remember, by avoid I don't mean ignore. Okay, remember, it's not ignoring. You consider it, you plan it, and you find a solution for it. If it's not possible, you need to inform management that this task is not possible to happen this date. Okay, but you need to have a conclusion on this constraint. And remember, this constraint is stronger than task dependency. That's why Microsoft project accepted it and implemented like this. Okay, if I want to remove, I can change the dependency constraint type to as soon as possible You can remove or just leave it as soon as possible and press OK. And after that, the Microsoft project use the CPM method to reschedule the task based on the dependencies. Okay. Now, regarding the tasks, I think we discussed the dependencies. Let's review the task information page, because it's a very important page and you're gonna use it a lot. So let's review if I miss something here. General tab, name, you know what exactly is this one. Duration, you know. Estimated, okay, estimated. If you remember at the beginning when you created a new task, you were able to see the duration 1 day and there was a question mark next to it. That question mark basically is this one. And as soon as you put a value on this field, this tick box is removing from this field on task information, and you cannot see that question mark next to the duration anymore, right? It is not affecting on your calculations. Okay, if I return back this one, you can see 3 days and question mark. It is something that can be helpful when you are not sure about the duration of a task. Okay, but still you want to put a value, but you mark it as estimated, so later you can find it, refer it, and try to see why the duration for that task is still estimated, why it's not approved, why it's not confirmed. Maybe you are not sure which resource to use, maybe you are not sure who is going to work on this task, and you need to gather more information to make sure that the duration is more accurate. Okay, but if you can use it if you want. Next field, percent complete. We will not use it here. We are going to have a separate video on updating the project plan. We will discuss about it later. Priority also, you can leave it as 500. You can put the value from 1 to 1000, but we don't use it at the moment. You can leave it. Manually scheduled, auto scheduled. We always use auto schedule, never use manually scheduled. I never found a proper use case that tell me that I should use the manual schedule. I always use auto schedule. Inactive, you can have a task and make it inactive. When you make a task inactive, still the record exists in Microsoft project, but is not affecting your schedule. For example, let me make this task inactive. You can also access to this function here on task inactive. If now it's inactive, now this task is not considered part of your planning, but you can also make it enable. Okay, then this dates, start, finish. Remember, it's very important. Never and ever, never touch the value inside of these two fields. Never. If you see someone open the Microsoft project, put the task, and then try to use these fields for scheduling, to define dates for your plan, it means that person knows nothing about this software and knows nothing about the project management. You should not use these two fields. It's editable. You can use it. Okay, for example, you can 19 to 22, but you are, and what exactly is happened is when you do this Microsoft project, if you Look at this field. Look at this field. It is a symbol that is saying that this task has a constraint. Okay. When you touch, or another case is when you want to create a link, instead of dragging up or dragging down, if you try to drag left and right, Microsoft Project consider it as applying the constraint. Even if you remove it back, still the constraint is there. Okay, so that's why I'm telling you, don't use that, or be careful not dragging left or right. As soon as you do this, you try to touch these two fields, Microsoft Project consider it as a constraint and apply the constraint in your plan. Okay, that's why I'm telling you, never touch these two fields. If your intention is not defining the constraint, then it is adding a constraint on your project plan, and you may not have enough skills to identify it fast, and you will end up having a problem on your planning, replanning, and updating your plan. Okay, so never and ever touch these two fields, unless maybe after 1 year, 2 year working on this software, you are a master in this software, you know exactly what is happening, and you can quickly fix them. And in some use cases, just you want to move a task and apply a dependency quickly, then that's fine. But for now, when you are trying to learn the software, when you are not you didn't reach the master level, do not touch these two fields. Please do not touch these two fields. You are creating problem for yourself. If your intention is to add a constraint on a task, then just double click advanced, define which constraint type you need, specify a date, and press OK. Okay. Then predecessors we already discussed, estimated the same. Resource, we didn't discuss about the resources yet. We will see later. Advanced tab, and it's same information here: name, duration, estimated, the deadline. Deadline is similar to a constraint, but it is not affecting your schedule. It's just a date. If a task passed the deadline, it is only giving you a red flag on indicator field. Okay, let me, for example, for this one, let's say the deadline, what is the schedule date? 24th of April. Let's say the deadline is 26th April. Okay, see, you can see this sign on Gantt chart. There is no red flag here, but as soon as this task passed this date, you can see this sign here, the red sign. This task goes past its deadline on April 26. Okay. It's good for reporting. It's good for visual, to show the visual information. Keep in mind that some tasks may have a deadline, and each task can have a separate deadline. It's advanced deadline. If you want to remove it, just type NA. Okay, then task type, we're gonna discuss it during the resource assignment. Effort driven resource assignment. Calendar, as I mentioned during the calendar lesson, you can specify a calendar, a specific calendar for a task. Okay, so your project has a calendar, your task also can have a separate calendar. I'm not going to discuss it more, but after explaining the resources and resource assignments, because resource also can have a calendar, and there might be a conflict between these two. We will see how it happened and how we can use it on that lesson. But for now, just remember that each task also can have a separate calendar, and if I assign the calendar to a task, that specific task follow that calendar instead of the project calendar. Okay, WBS code we already discussed. It's just showing the value here. Earned value method, we will discuss it later. It's an advanced topic. We need to I think lesson 10, lesson 11, we will reach to the point that we want to discuss about the earned value method. And there is here a section I can mark task as a milestone. What it do is only on UI, only on Gantt chart, it changed the look of a task and make it as a milestone. It's something that I personally don't like, because if a task is really a milestone, then then the duration should be 0. If a task has a duration, it means it should have a resource, it should have a work, and I don't want to show it as a milestone. But you may find some use case you want to use this option, this tick box. And remember, it is not affecting any calculation. That's the important point. How you want to use it, up to you. But remember that this tick is not affecting the calculation. It is only changing the UI for the task from this blue bar to milestone. So no impact on calculation, only UI change. Okay, notes. It can be very useful. You can type additional information, explanation. You can copy paste from Word document inside of the task. You can add description. You can extra information. You can even insert different object, image. I do not recommend to put big files inside of the Microsoft project, because it makes your project files bigger and bigger, and loading the file can create a problem for you. But maybe you can put a link here and people use the link to have access to those documents. It is very helpful. You can put for the contract related to that task here, or any external information that that helps people to understand about this task. You can put it here. You can update the task, and for example, if a delay happened, you can update. Can put the related information on the notes, and it's a very useful tab. Okay, and when you put it, you can see this on indicator. You can see that this task has a note, and you can double click and see it here. Okay. Custom fields. At the moment we have one WBS because we already used one, but leave it for now. We will discuss it later. I'm going to have another session, and on that session I'm going to explain you the data structure inside of the Microsoft project. I'm going to explain you different views that you have inside of the Microsoft project, different fields, different tables, how you can create your own views, your own tables, and after that session you will understand what exactly is the custom fields. But for now you can drop it. Okay, so we discuss about the task types. We discuss about the duration. I mentioned you should not use these two fields, predecessors, different ways of creating link, resource. We didn't discuss the resource yet. We are going to have a separate video for this one. We also covered the task information page, and I think at the moment, based on lessons 1 and lessons 2 so far, you have enough information to create a very basic plan, also including the milestones. You can create a calendar for your project. You can create a simple work breakdown structure, and based on that you can define tasks inside of the Microsoft project. And let me open the test. Where is the drive? The drive project efficiency test. Okay. I think even if you want, you can start working on this this test, and try to, for example, pick one project, try to define it inside of the Microsoft project. Yeah, and it's also good, for example, creating the project calendar. You can use this one. For those points that you are not aware at the moment, you can ignore them, but you can create the project calendar, and you can also define a project inside of the Microsoft project as a practice. But this test, at the end of all videos, I'm going to create another videos just to solve this test. It will be a long video, maybe it will take 8 hours, 10 hours from me to solve this test, but it would be fun. It would be fun. And during that, if I missed anything, I will cover those missing points during that video. But my suggestion for you is don't wait till that video. You immediately now you have you should be able to create this calendar, and now you should be able to define this project with these tasks inside of the Microsoft project. I think that's it. Another point, maybe, let me double check here if I missed something. Inspect task. Okay, maybe on view details. Timeline is a view. Okay, we didn't discuss about the views yet. Here, project summary task. Project summary task. Whenever you create, open a new file, even if a new file. Okay. Chart format. Whenever you create, this project summary task is there, and it's reading from the project name file, the task name. It's little bit different than basically, if you remember, we discussed about the WBS and level 0. That's the level 0. That's the level 0 you have. It is only one, and you can, if you let me go to the previous file, project 2 here, project 1 website. That's the level 0. Okay. You can enable it at the beginning, and it's just a big summary task, one big summary task. We are not using it at the moment, but when we are reaching to the lesson after the resources, I'm going to teach you the budgeting, and during the budgeting you will see how you can use this summary task. Okay, but for now you can ignore it, you don't need it. And that's important point here for those that know what exactly is the CPM. If you click this one, you will see the critical path on your Gantt chart. Okay, if you click on this one, Gantt chart format, you can see the critical path on your Gantt chart. I am not going to explain the critical CPM and critical path here. Consider it, maybe I create a separate video for that one, but consider it as a kind of a homework. Try to Google it, read it on Wikipedia, or try to find a book and just read it. It's not complex, and you don't need to perform those calculations anymore, because Microsoft Project, based on the dependency that you defined between tasks, perform those calculations and draw this schedule plan for you. But it's better for you to understand those logics, especially okay. But maybe before resource leveling, or during the resource leveling lessons, I give you some information, but better, I really recommend you to do some research on Wikipedia and try to read more about this topic. And anyway, the critical path method of the CPM, when you click this one, you can see it on the Gantt chart automatically. And you can also here change the look and feel, but I personally do not recommend you to do that, because it's just cosmetic, and for me it doesn't matter. For me the blue and red is fine, just fine. Okay. Slack regard, no need. Late task, no need. Format should be fine. And be careful not baseline, we don't need it now. Okay, I think we covered all the required points for tasks. We good at the moment, but if I later in the next videos, if I find something is missing, I'm going to cover it. So my recommendation for you is open this document, okay, and you can find the link on my website, and try to define the calendar, and try to define, for example, this one, project A, inside of the Microsoft project. You can use dummy duration for yourself to just see how it looks like, and try to give links between tasks. You can find links between tasks here on this table. Project A, the predecessors, task name, predecessors. Okay. Have a good day.